Welcome to one of my favorite sections of this course, how to release the fear. Because so often fear is one of the primary barriers between you and your optimal birth. All right, so we are going to be going through life meditation, figuring out what the primary elements of your life are. Then we'll move into fear selection, figuring out what fears are attached to those primary elements of your life. Then we're going to let the fear flow through and out of you. We're going to talk about the 90-second rule with fear, which is pretty interesting. Once we've gotten rid of all the yuck, all the muck, we are going to objectively examine the fear that you're going to first work with in this exercise. We're going to talk about working it, mama, because you've got to do the work to get all this junk up and out of you. All right. So first off, we're going to talk about meditating on the primary elements of your life and figuring out which fears might be attached to those elements of your life. So you can move through this recording a few different ways. You can pause after I go through each step and you can actually do it now. Or you can watch the entire thing one time through, absorb it and then come back and go through it piece by piece. Or you can just download the checklist at the end of this lecture, and it has most of these steps listed in bullet points, and you can move through it that way. All right, so these are the primary elements of my life. They're pretty common, but of course you can add any additional elements that are really important in your life because this is all about you. All right, so friends, if I was doing this meditation, I would, close my eyes, think about how my pregnancy, my childbirth, stepping into motherhood, how that will affect my friendships and any concerns I have about that. How will this shift in my identity? How will it change how I interact with my immediate family, with my extended family? How will all of these changes affect my career? That is a big one for many women. All right, and obviously childbirth, even if this is your second, third, fourth journey into birthing, it's different each and every time, which means that it holds that air of the unknown, which is a huge source of fear, the unknown. So do not feel strange for having fears about childbirth. That is so normal. All right, hotties, I hope that you have passions, activities that you just love to do. And maybe you're concerned that becoming a mother is going to shift your ability to do some of those hobbies. If you are a thrill seeker, maybe motherhood will adjust some of your willingness to jump off a cliff with a parachute, for example. And home. So bringing a brand new roommate essentially into your house is going to change how you exist in your home, how you use different spaces, and it will likely require some restructuring, which luckily is a whole other lecture in this course. Okay, so you've meditated on all of the different elements of your life. You figured out what they are. You've started to, again, think about the concerns, fears attached to them. Now I want you to write down these fears. And you can do this a few different ways. You can just do some free flow journaling about it. If you're a little bit type A, like myself, you can just list all the primary elements in your life, and then you can just make bullet points underneath each about fears and concerns that you have regarding that aspect of your life. All right. So now that you've written all that down, I want you to choose the fear that's causing you the greatest struggle, the fear that you just can't stop thinking about. It's just nagging at you. And I want you to move through the following steps. And please remember to only release one fear at a time. This can be really intense, sometimes overwhelming work. So again, one fear at a time, and give yourself plenty of space in between, even days in between before you start another fear release exercise to release a new fear. Okay, so you have decided what fear you want to work on first. Now what I want you to do is take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, And I want you to visualize the fear. So if this is a fear that you've actually moved through in the past, you've actually experienced it, maybe you'll bring up past memories. If this is a fear that is just a concern about the future, you've never actually experienced it, but you're really worried about it, you can essentially bring up a make-believe movie in your mind. And if you can't really see images, say on the back of your eyelids when your eyes are closed, that's fine. You can just bring up the emotions, the sensations attached to the fears when you're thinking about it. So instead of just visualizing the fear, you can just think about the fear. And again, allow those emotions, allow those physical sensations attached to the fear to be expressed. Let them come up, surrender to them. And know that it might be so overwhelming. It likely is overwhelming. It might feel like you're just totally submerged in these emotions and these sensations. You are 100% mind, body, spirit in them. And please remember that that's okay. It's supposed to be intense. I know it's scary, but this is what you're supposed to be feeling. That means it's working. That means that this fear is being wriggled and wiggled out of you, which means it can be released. And have no fear, you only have to move through 90 seconds of this, because it is believed that the energy, the emotions surrounding really any experience or any thought pass through the mind, the body, the spirit in 90 seconds. So you might have some shaking in your body, you might have some sweating, your breathing might become a little bit shallow. Know that all of that will pass through you in 90 seconds. And you can also set a timer for 90 seconds before you close your eyes and set the intention that this fear will be released fully by the time that timer goes off. All right, you're so brave, you're so courageous for moving through those initial steps. Oh, I know it can be scary, but you did it. All right, so now that you've released those emotions, those physical sensations attached to the fear, you can examine it objectively and decide whether the fear is something that's completely outside of your control. You can't do anything about it. And it can be fully released by doing the previous 90-second release work anytime it comes up. Because you might have this fear that you just released triggered in the future by a conversation, an image. Something might trigger it and you might need to re-release it. That's normal. That's fine. Just go through the process again. All right, you might find that this fear is an issue that you need to educate yourself on. For example, if you're really fearful about a special circumstance regarding your pregnancy that you just found out that you have, go and talk to your care provider. Ask he or she any and all questions you have about this special circumstance. Ask for book recommendations, and again, go educate yourself on the special circumstance, because so much of your fear likely lies in the unknown of the circumstance. So once the circumstance becomes less unknown, you'll likely feel less fear regarding it. All right, the fear might also be something that you need to talk through with another individual. So for example, if you are very fearful about how motherhood will affect your career, you might need to go have a conversation with your boss or your coworkers to fully release this fear. Or if you are concerned about your intimacy in your romantic relationship after you become a mother, go and talk to your partner about these fears. Oh my gosh, you've done it. And now this is you. You are composed of millions of blossoms that are continuously opening and expanding, giving birth to your best self and your best life. You are a total badass.